everybody. Welcome to live streaming for Whānau. Just want to start with, it's getting pretty exciting. We've got 26 working days left until we go live on the 1st of October. There's still lots and lots to do, and it's starting to feel really real with, we've got most of the staff for the new teams in Mana Whaikaha. Most of the staff start on Monday. So we've got a pōwhiri and welcome for them, and then they start at the beginning of 5 weeks worth of induction and training. But that will just be the start. There's so much that people will need to learn, and particularly as we're doing the try, learn and adjust approach, there will continue to be things where we're building our skills across everybody in the team. So just firstly, we can't get emails tonight, so if you can please post your questions on YouTube. And just a reminder to get your questions in early, because we are starting to find that people are running out of questions. And so if we run out of questions, we will finish early. So if you can please get your questions in at the beginning. I have got a long list from Lawrence, so I'll start with that. So the first question he's asked is, what is the process of transferring services when you're currently receiving services from a service provider to another organisation who will be providing services? When can this take place? Where and who do we approach? How long will the process take? And can one prepare to activate this process before the 1st of October? So the short answer, Lawrence, is that the first step will be to talk to somebody in Mana Whaikaha, and that will be from the 1st of October. So we'll be writing another letter. So hopefully you've all received, everybody who is accessing disability support services in Mid-Central has received your first letter. If for any reason you haven't, please let us know by contacting us at stfeedback@moh.govt.nz. And we can arrange for one to go out to you, and there's also a copy of the letter on the website. But anyway, going up to the 1st of October, we're going to be sending another letter out, so you should all receive a letter around about the 15th of September that will give you information about how you can contact us from the 1st of October. So then in that letter we'll give you information about the new website address, an 0800 number to contact us, and information about where you can go in person to see us. So from the 1st of October, you'll be able to contact us either by phone, email, or face-to-face, and that will start the process around what do you want to do in terms of your support if you want to change something. You asked the question about how long will it take. It will be different for every person. So every disabled person in Whānau can go at the pace that works for them and in a way that works for them. And you've asked if one can prepare to activate the transfer process before the 1st of October. We definitely encourage people to start thinking about what they want to do. So the kind of questions that you'd want to be talking about is about what is it you're wanting to achieve in your life? What support do you need to get there? Have you thought through all of the different types of options? And then being able to talk to somebody. And you can choose to work with a connector, or you can choose to do it without a connector. So either of those options are available. Lawrence's second question is, can an individual or a family or a group of families assign their funding for the organisation to provide services? So there will be a couple of options on how you can do that. So you can either work with a provider that has a flexible disability support contract, and that can be them managing funding on behalf of a person or a group of people, or you could negotiate a contract directly with a provider, and again that could be done as either an individual or a group of families together. So there are options there. In either case, you could also work as a group of families with one connector if you wanted to. So there are options and flexibility available to be able to achieve that. Third question, how does one assign the personal budget to an organisation? Any form or process required to do this? So Lawrence, for that, it will depend on whether you're working with a connector or not. And so probably I can't tell you exactly what the process will look like. It'll depend on your circumstances and what you're wanting to do. But the first step would be to contact us either via phone, email or face-to-face on the 1st of October. And the final question Lawrence asked is, do we need to have a connector to do the above? No, you don't have to have a connector. So you will need to provide some information to be able to work through the process around what you're wanting to do, what support you're wanting to put in place, and to go through the funding process. You will have to provide information, but you don't need to work with a connector if you do not want to. So, really encouraging people to send in questions at this point. We've got an alternative, low-tech, slightly different different way of working today because we're actually working from the ministry and it just happens to be during our weekly computer updates, IT. I'm never quite sure exactly what they're doing. And as a result, we don't actually have access to email, which is why we're sort of working through a kind of different system with Facebook at the moment. So just a reminder about the Capability Fund. So there is a Capability Fund for disabled people and a Capability Fund for whānau. And we're looking for applications to provide training for a group of people. And that can be anything. And when I say training, it's capability building of any kind. So it could be anything from, for whānau, anything from wanting to get together a group of people who are interested in talking about what transitions from school might look like. So a kitchen table sort of thing, through to, it might be saying, look, actually, as families, there's often quite a lot of sort of adjustment that needs to happen, or you need to talk to somebody when you first find out that your child has an impairment to help you to get to a place to be able to think about what your life will be like and how to build the kind of life you want for you and your family. And it might be something like an application for there to be counselling available for families to use as they need it. So you're on the Capability Fund. It is a very broad kind of category. We did have there's some information about the kind of priorities that the regional leadership group set, but some of those were things like transitions, and that's not just transitions out of school, but transitions between school, into school, when people leave home. So there are whole different things you can think of. So please don't be limited. Think about the sorts of things that you would like to learn more about. Just had an email in from Kerry. Can a mum be their daughter's connector? So thinking about the role of the connector, the role of the connector is to work with the disabled person, which could be an adult or a child, and the family to think about what they want out of their life. So in that, a mother might be too close to be part of that conversation in a connector role, but we do have the option for you to identify somebody who is in your circle and to go to the director in the disabled people and whānau supporting team, and they can check that the person has the skills to be able to do the connector role. The connector role is, it's not making the decisions, it's about being there to support people to think about what they want, provide objective information about what's the support options that are available, and to help people to put together their proposal about what kind of paid supports they want to put in place. Just had a question Lisa's just asked, in what ways will carer support be more flexible? So in the new system, there will be money available for supporting, for the sorts of things that you want to put in place. So just to be really clear, there isn't a lot of extra money in the system. So it is looking at taking a lot of the rules away and saying to disabled people and families, you make the decision about what's most important to you around what support you need to be able to achieve what you want to achieve. And so thinking about that, there won't be rules around how you can or can't use the funding. It'll be more about saying what is the support you want to put in place, and then thinking about what are the different options to make that happen. Probably the example I kind of think about is respite, where really what you're trying to achieve with respite is taking a break. And that can look totally different for different families. So you can sort of think about, well, what makes the most sense for you? What could it look like? And then you can use the funding creatively to achieve that. Just had, I've just seen more. Will it still be oriented around having a break, or can we use it to stay well, i.e. go to the gym and have a massage? So I think it comes back to asking the questions about what are you trying to achieve as a family and what support you need to get there. And there is, in terms of the guidance, it will be showing how the support enables you to achieve those kind of goals. And that it is about thinking about what that would look like. So absolutely going to have a massage is having a break and being able to achieve that. However, it will be looking at what you're doing to enable your disabled person to have what's needed at that time, rather than possibly paying for the massage. Just had a question from Hamish Tavner. Does it mean my sister will get paid? Hamish, I'd need to understand a lot more about the specific circumstances. So I think, again, it's coming back to that you might want to talk to us about what it could look like for you after the 1st of October and work with Connector about what you're wanting to do and what are the options available to you. I've just had a question from, actually I'm worried that I'm going to mispronounce your name.
I spelled that wrong, sorry.
So, and I've just heard from Lauren that she spelt it wrong, so it should be Tamara, so that makes more sense. What's going to happen if you don't want to do individualised funding? So you don't have to choose to have individualised funding or to manage the funding yourself. So firstly, it's about thinking about what you want to achieve and what are the supports you need to get there. And then after that, thinking about how you'd like to manage the money. So if you want to have supports provided by a provider like within the current system and not manage the money, that is still absolutely an option available to you. Or you can choose to negotiate directly with the provider, or you could go down the having a flexible disability support contract where the provider provides some support for you and arranges other supports, or you can have a host manage the money on your behalf, or you can manage it yourself, but you don't have to go down the individualised funding route. So if you would like to continue with having supports provided by a provider and have the Ministry of Health pay for it, that is absolutely an option and choice within the prototype. I think it's just a reminder that this is about people having options. So it's what works best for you. Really encouraging people to get their questions in. We're about halfway through and just waiting to see. I think one's about to come up. My assistants can't type quite fast enough. Jenny's asking a question, what funding is going to be in the new system? So in terms of, and then asking about education. So at the moment, we've been working through a process with other government agencies, and we are going to Cabinet in the next month with recommendations to get decisions on what funding comes from other government agencies into the disability support system. So at this stage, I can't tell you what will happen in terms of funding moving from other government agencies into the disability support system. In terms of child development is absolutely one of the supports that is part of what is in the system within Mid Central, and we're also looking at how we can bring the health and education supports around children closer together, particularly the things looking at how we support positive behaviour and also how we can get a more integrated support in terms of equipment, so that rather than having one piece of equipment or assistive technology at school and a different one at home, looking at what we can do so that you can use the same equipment in all settings. I've had a question from Lisa. Are there any continuing education options for adults with an intellectual disability? So Lisa, that's absolutely the sorts of things that people might want to work with a connector about, because it will depend on what someone's interested in. Like, we want to be building on strengths of young people or not so young people with intellectual disabilities and looking at what are the sorts of things that they want to learn and what are the kind of options that can be developed or adapted so that it's an inclusive learning environment and that they can thrive in it. So that's the sort of thing we'll be looking at. How can we work with the community to create more inclusive options? I've got a comment from Tamara. Thank you for your answer. Do you see a better way to coordinate funding between all my sons? So that's a really good question around the absolutely one of the things is that we want people to have the ability to be able to combine their funding if that is something that they want to do, and to think about it as a family or as a group of families. So you can, again, it's the kind of thinking about creative ways and innovative ways you might want to do things. What works for you? How might you get there? And so, for example, I've just had a clarification that it wasn't actually, do you see a better way to coordinate funding for your son who has different impairments? So one of the things we are absolutely trying to work on is how do we get better integrated support around a person. So how can we make sure that the person is in the middle and that we're coordinating their support around them rather than you having to go to multiple places to get that support. And that's a lot of the kind of what we're trying to achieve with connected support across government. And to do that, so without more information, it's sort of understanding what the different supports might be, but the idea is that a connector can work with you and your son to understand what it is that you're wanting to achieve and what is the support that he needs. And then the connector will work with government liaisons who have relationships in different government agencies, including with the health system. So that might be with different parts of the health system. Could be with child development services and mental health, for example. So how can we actually bring together the support around your son and your family rather than you having to go to the different places to do that? So we are trying to get that better coordinated for you. Sorry about that, not getting the question quite right to start off with. I've just had a question from Hamish. How much money for each person will change on the 1st of October? So Hamish, on that, anything that you've got in place the day before the prototype will be exactly the same on the 1st of October. And your funding will not change unless you come to us and say that you want to look at changing your support, or at the time that we get to your next review date that you would normally go to have a conversation with your needs assessment service coordination agency. So it will be on a regular review time. And at that point, we would work with you to understand what you're wanting to do and what support you need to get there. So at this stage, I just really want to reassure people that nothing changes on the 1st of October. After that, we'll work with you to understand what you want to do and what we need to put in place to get there. There is a limited amount of money in the system, and there will continue to be a limited amount of money in the system. But what changes here is that we're wanting to take away a lot of the rules and restrictions around the funding, and to give you the choice about what's most important to you, so you get to decide how you use that funding. So we might be running out of questions with 9 minutes to go. So I'm just, my assistants look like they might be starting to do something. No. Okay, well, I think we'll give people 1 more minute to see if any more questions come through. The other thing is just if you want to let us know too, we've been doing live streaming for a while now, and we are finding that people seem to have fewer questions. So we'd be really interested in your feedback about whether you'd like this to continue or not. It might be that people will have more and more questions as we get closer to the 1st of October. So I've got a question from Lisa about how will Te Pou work differently in Mid-Central. So I can't answer on the Te Pou question for you, Lisa, but what we're doing is that we are putting in capability funding. So there's a capability fund that I talked about earlier for disabled people and families that people can put applications through to run or to have some kind of skills development or capacity building for either disabled people or families. And so that funding will be available in Mid-Central, and applications are open now. So if there is something you're looking for in terms of the wanting to build skills or capacity of a group of people, that's something that you might want to look into. And there's an email address for that if you go to www.enablingoodlives.co.nz. There is an email address that I think is apply@manawhakaha.co.nz, and you can either ask questions around that capability fund or be able to have a look at the information. There's a lovely video of Lauren on it. Okay, waiting to see if there's any more questions. Hoping that my interpreter's recovering from my too speedy when I'm reading answers. Okay, well, once again, if you have any questions after this and there's something you'd like to ask us, if you do send us an email to stfeedback@moh.govt.nz, we won't be able to get it tonight, but we will get back to you tomorrow or early next week with an answer to any questions you've got. And once again, be really interested in your feedback about whether you'd like us to continue live streaming or whether you think it's time to try communicating in a different way. Thanks very much.